Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch Dub Stream. As always, I'm your host, Mike. Haha! That's me. How's it going? I'm pretty good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, we're back into doing our usual stuff. We're gonna keep going. I'm gonna finally finish my monolith, get to empowered here. It's gonna happen eventually, one of these days. Hopefully, we'll see. And yeah, so we've got a new charity, new month, new charity. Doing the water thing. Guess I should bring my little water bottle with me today. It's delicious. Alright. If you have any questions, please put at Last Epoch Game in chat, and I will see it pop out at me. I'll be happy to answer it. Well, that's weird. There's a little... I feel like something's wrong there. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, what do I usually say? If it's your first time in chat, welcome. Glad to have you here. Wishing for charity. Put out Last Epoch Game in the question. I'll be happy to answer it. I feel like I need a new wand. Poison is not going to be fantastic for us, but I feel like I need a new weapon. So I'm on the hunt for a new wand today. It's my goal. That would have been really funny. I really want my staff. I really want the staff I've been looking for. God. All right, Mike, wake up. Here we go. Good morning. Everyone in Australia, that good morning's for you. Your lightning res is a little scuffed. Is all the classes unlocked yet? No, there are 3 mastery classes missing still from what our launch class selection will be. Those will continue to get added in. We're working on that. Pretty heavily right now is missing masteries is probably our biggest like ongoing project right now, just like team wide. Coming along quite nicely. Really happy with it. Some new exciting stuff happening. It's in the category of like, oh my god, I wish I could talk about it more right now. My defenses are a dumpster fire. I keep talking about how I'm gonna fix this character, and I just like never do because I only ever play on stream. Playing my other mage normally. Usually I'm playing rogue, but I've been playing a lot of mage lately. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Do you guys hear? There's like I've got a fan running. That's like pretty nearby, and I'm worried it's causing a lot of noise. It is, let me know. Meteor's always fun. Meteor is always fun. One of the clips I have today has a meteor in the clip. Oh. I think that may have been for me. The lightning that keeps getting spammed on me is making me be hyper vigilant here, because I feel like it's just gonna nuke me. My lightning res is so brave. Is that the right way to put it? Brave. Can't hear the fan? Awesome. The fan is keeping me from sweating a ton. Yay! We did it! Oh, we've been ramping up for Gamescom lately, and it's like there's so much stuff that goes into like into any sort of big event like this, and the people who are handling it for us, like that are, I say, like people on our team that are handling for the people who are mostly working on production during the day, are doing such a great job that I'm not worried at all, which is great. It's really nice to just kind of be like, yeah, we're gonna go through and it's gonna be awesome. That's how I feel about it right now, which is great. Hey, may I ask what's currently the priority for Last Epoch? Endgame, new skills, or something else? I mean, like, it depends on, there's lots of priorities that come up, and sometimes it'll be like okay, if we're gonna pick like the main priority for the whole team, maybe it's like okay, the priority is getting to 1.0, and it's like, okay, what are the things that are mandatory to do before 1.0 comes out is kind of what it is. But so like, what's the most important thing? Oh, let's say like server stability and performance and all that sort of stuff. Well, the people who write dialogue for quests don't really have much to do in that category, right? So you end up with a ton of different priority elements, and so yeah, there's a lot of things that are like called priority, but server stability, performance, really high up there. Finishing the classes, so a bunch of new skills, beefing up endgame, a bunch of new content, that sort of stuff, things to do, mechanics, functionality, improving old stuff that's been in the game for a while, the item factions. Like, so there's several priorities, and things that are getting worked on simultaneously. Yeah. Meteor gets the job done. Is there a patch coming out before Gamescom? Gamescom with an M, not an N. No, it will not be a patch pre-Gamescom. We usually do, like you'll see like patch ramp ups stuff, like posts and like info, things like get the hype train rolling for the patch. And if it was going to be pre-Gamescom, that's what 16, 17 days away from now. So we'd be really behind on that that element of releasing a patch if we were going to release one before Gamescom. There will be tons of very cool stuff to see at Gamescom, and if you're not going, that's totally fine. You'll be able to see all the interesting stuff online. I'm sure there's some sort of broadcast, like Twitch or something, that'll like show the stuff that's happening at Gamescom. And, I don't know the details of like when we're on the air, so to speak, but like I'm sure there'll be time where you'll see stuff and like there'll be people like releasing videos covering it as well if you don't want to watch the whole show. But I think it's gonna be a ton of fun and really interesting. I'm really excited to see something like that live. I've never been to a broadcasted game convention live like that. Do you think the balance between melee and range is a good place right now? Game feels harder as melee for you. Yeah, I mean, there's I don't think that there's a clear distinction like all ranged is better than all melee or something like that. Maybe if you look at like maybe if you like take a look at like the top ranged build and the top melee build, it might be like easy to draw a comparison like that. Or like the top 3 range builds and the top 3 melee builds. I don't know, but or like you look at the top 20 builds and how many of them are ranged, and how many are melee, and you start to see things like that show up. So there might be like discrepancies at like higher end content. Overall, I think there's a pretty good distinction there. Like not too much of a disparity overall. Because like there are fun ways to play melee for sure that are functional and all that sort of stuff. So I mean, overall, decent, good. Maybe not as good as we want. Maybe not perfect. It's like the 8th phone call I've got since being on the air. That's frustrating. But like, there's things that, yeah, it's hard to have that be perfectly balanced. I don't think it ever will be, because range has like the inherent bonus of just being able to be further away from enemies, and we do have like we do have a way to, and we do this sometimes where enemies will use different abilities based on how far away they are from you. So like, if someone is playing very long range, maybe like certain enemies will have like a move that's designed to like target ranged enemies and like mess them a bit, or maybe specifically designed to target melee enemies and mess them a little bit. So we do have that functionality in the game, but it does get used. But it's hard to tell. Like, we can see how far away, like enemies can tell how far away they're standing from you, but it's hard for them to tell like if you're a ranged build or not. Like, if you're a ranged build that's just standing kind of close, it might look to them like you're a melee build. So it's not something we like straight up rely on always. There we go. Ooh. Saw frailty in there. More questions. I hope you guys all have a good time at Gamescom. Thank you very much. And no trouble traveling there. I heard U.S. air travel is a mess right now. I will not be going through any U.S. air travel, so I'll be fine. sure. Arena time! We got a question here. Hey, I recently picked up Last Epoch and it's been amazingly fun to mess around with all these systems. If you had to pick one, what was your biggest tip you could give someone new to the game? I like the kind of cop-out answer, but like is my favorite answer to this question is, you know, like just mess around, like have fun with it. Just explore and experiment, and like at least when you're first starting out, just like make mistakes and like try things and have to fix them, and you know, that would be my advice. Just smelled like someone was overcooking Mr. Noodles for a second. Like you know, like you leave it on for too long, and like the water cooks down because you got into a game of League that took longer than you thought. I mean, this has never happened to me, I swear. It smells like severely overcooked Mr. Noodles. But if we're talking like tips in game to like make yourself better for like early tips. Craft early, craft often. You'll find a lot of the materials you need. Don't be afraid to use what you have. Experiment with the crafting. You'll have better gear to do things with faster, and you'll end up like getting better stuff faster because of it. Another phone call. It's just wild. They're all scammers. You can just tell from the numbers. Next question. How will the trade work? I'm assuming when it comes to crafted items, will trade be in-game or website? Oh yeah, work right afterwards. We've got a really large post on our forums from like February this year that outlines in detail exactly how trade's gonna work. So if you want specifics, my advice is go check that out. Sort of the TLDR overview version of it is we're doing an auction house style system. So there's it's also an optional trade system. So you don't need to, you have to opt into using the trade system. And if you don't use the trade system, you get other things in exchange. So it's an optional trade system. And you can play with people who aren't like you can cross play trade no trade people. And you can switch, which I know all these things sound ridiculous. Like, how can you possibly make this work? There's a lot of little details on this post, so if you're interested in those details, go look it up. But yeah, basically, it's going to be an auction house style system where you put things up for sale and people come buy them. We're calling it the bazaar. And like I use auction house style, but it'll be like buy it now. It won't be like bid on it things. Yeah. It's kind of the basics of it. It'll just be an auction house style system. And because there's no bidding, it does function more like a bazaar, which is what we're calling it that. Hey, hello. I finally tried the new Act 1. I got a bit of feedback. Cool. It felt significantly harder than the OG one as a melee rogue. Yeah, which is great. We frequently got feedback, especially the start of the game was just way too easy. Yeah, sure. Otherwise, oh, you didn't like that. Sorry. Otherwise, I loved the new mechanics, the inclusion of monolith mechanics, and specifically the art and voice acting. Awesome. On another topic, what do you guys think of ExileCon and its big announcement of PoE 2 is a separate game? Yeah, that was a big one. And its promised slowdown features like boss life reset, flask fountain. Would you guys implement any of these features in LE? So I mean, yeah. So we really frequently. First off, I love watching ExileCon. Ton of fun with that. That was fantastic. There was an ARPG roundtable discussion with like the Schaefer brothers and Brevik and Crip was hosting it. There's a couple other big names there that were like, yeah, this is like wow. Like people who made Torchlight and Diablo and Marvel Heroes, and I know I'm basically just mentioning one person by saying all that, but still, it was fantastic. I had a ton of fun with it. Really enjoyed it. There was in the ARPG roundtable discussion, there was a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, I've watched interviews before that had this question and this answer already. Give me some new questions. But I mean, they were really good questions, and it was really neat to have them all there together. Anyways, what was the actual question? I'm just like gushing about ExileCon. PoE 2. Yeah, PoE 2. I was blown away. I think it's a smart idea for them to do what they've done with PoE 2. They're not in a huge rush to power out the door. Like PoE still has tons of active users and everything. I think it's really smart for them to split them off more because it lets them not. It gives them a ton of freedom. Basically, they don't have to. There's nothing that is directly linked to PoE 1 that has to remain. So they can do shakeups that they couldn't do otherwise. And I think that's likely why it happened. They probably were designing something and they're like, I mean, if we just split this from PoE 1, we can design this thing we want to do. And they're like, I mean, do we just do it? All right, let's do it. That's kind of how I feel like that conversation went. Who knows really, but I think it's smart. I think it's great, and the new gameplay looks fantastic. Oh, it looks great. Last Epoch's great. I'm just gushing about another game. No, I think there's and I've quite often get questions of like competing in the genre and stuff like that. And there's plenty of room for multiple people to play, multiple games to exist in the same genre and everything. And yeah, we're competing with them for sure. I'd like that competition to continue. I don't want. And we also get questions a lot about like, oh, is it going to kill this game or is that game going to kill this game? It's like, let's not kill any games. As for like bringing features over, we really try super hard not to be, not to look at another game, another feature, and say like, do we want to incorporate that into our game or not? It's tough to look at new features in other games and not have that go through your head, but we try really hard to like distance it a little bit and like we'll make our game, they'll make their game. Sometimes there's features that'll overlap, but like it's so difficult to transplant a feature and have it be successful, even if it was successful in the other game, because there's so many things that tie in together. So many, especially systems heavy games like ARPGs like these, is that there's so many things that like intertwine, and it's really hard to transplant a system in general, and the whole like copying people is bad. That too, we do. It is funny though. Sometimes you will be working on something, and another game will like announce it, and you're like, is that's can we still release this now? And that might have happened a couple times during the ExileCon streams. We'll see what happens there. Is there any, like, maybe feeling when the new Masters will come out? I really wanted to try Warlock and Rune Master. I'm sorry I can't give you any info about the details on when Rune Master, Warlock, or Falconer are going to come out. Like no specifics, because it like gives away other specific timelines that we're not prepared to talk about yet. But like when 1.0 is out and you log into that 1.0 client, all three of them will be there. No problem. Go for it. Have fun. How big is the elite team? I don't know. It's big enough that I don't know the answer to that question. I'm going to say, with like a big question mark, 75? Alright, by the way, I saw you guys added an MTX screen now. I was wondering what the decorative ones are for. Will you guys add a hideout system? MTX screen, and was wondering what the decorative ones are for. To look cool? I think is all that is. There's no mechanical or functional differences. Like we've got. Oh my god! Stop calling me scammers. It's like they know I'm doing something. Yeah. So there's like MTX stuff here. It's purely visual. Nothing's functional. And as far as a hideout system, we don't have plans for a hideout system right now. We're when we look at multiplayer features and things like, I guess, hideout systems, we really try to see if they're going to. We like to encourage the ideas that will make the world feel more alive, bring people together when they're playing, encourage this multiplayer feel for the game where like there's a reason to be online and you're like seeing other people and all that sort of stuff, and maybe you like see someone walking around in town with this like epic sword and you're like, how did it, like, what is that? Or maybe there's some cool title they have under their character name and it's like, oh, how'd you get that? You know, and that like that community building that happens from inside the game of just being a multiplayer world. I think that hideouts have the potential to detract from that because you're kind of like going off into your own little space and ditching what everyone else, like ditching that public space for your own personal space. I always, the minimap always gets me here. I don't know why it does. This happens every time. I know it's there. I'm just in my head, I'm like, okay, we're going down left in the corner, and I know there's like a diagonal thing I gotta go out on. Whoop. Alright. Don't know how often this is brought up, but is there any development going towards base design of current classes and specializations? Obviously does well, but when it comes to support or defense skills, it feels like it falls short. As example, the mage often going for Flame Ward and teleport since it fits so well with no close call, so that could bring it to a choice. Any other self-imposed decisions not using said skills? Other than self-imposed decisions of not using said skills. There are, well, specifically, you bring up mage specifically, and like, it's still missing that final class. So like, there's 5 skills that are still missing here, and there's stuff that's coming in those skills eventually that will help with that a little bit. It's really hard to make like skill trees for defensive and movement skills are really difficult to make unique and distinct, and have multiple of them on a single class that feel unique and distinct. Um, it's the type of skill we struggle with the most on keeping them interesting, fun, and sort of like fitting our requirements for the sort of thing that needs to make it into the game. And like we've combined movement and defensive skills together so many times on various classes, it's crazy. Um, Now there are more movement and defensive skills. I know there's yeah. I feel like there's a no. I said vacuum moment coming up. Finally, fart as hard as he likes. Okay, we're stream restarting. We're gonna restart this. Oh, I'm back. I was like just about to hit the end stream button. So okay, sweet. We're not restarting the stream. Hey, it just couldn't handle my awesome. You know, it's high pitched. No, that was just me being high pitched. Sound quality is really rough. Helium voice, this is even better! Okay. How my voice sounds now. I hope it's normal. Okay. I scrolled past some questions, I think. I'm sorry if I missed your question. I'm just going to pretend like it's working. We're good. Save. Sounds good. Okay, awesome. Here's a... sorry, my stream was weird. Spoiler. Haha. Sweet new item. Some throwing themed armor. I'm looking at this armor and I'm like, I think there's a bug on one of the throwing skills that I'm gonna make sure is working before we release this. I'm gonna stick that off to the side. We'll just play with that there. Let's have that little hanging out there. Okay. Thank you so much for adding South American servers to the game. It's such a huge quality of life, over 190 plus ping to connect to American servers, which are the next closest ones. Funny enough, there were always South American servers, and it was the auto ping selection. The auto ping to the South American servers was frequently getting deprioritized across networks, causing it to appear as though it was much worse ping than it actually was, and causing the system to be like, well, it was terrible, so I'm not going to use that one. We changed the way the auto selection happens and added manual selection, just in case. And now people are able to play in the South American servers properly. So it's like we added them, because they effectively weren't there for most people. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Since you brought up Warlock, any Warlock League teasers? I have no Warlock anything to share with you. I can give like little anecdote stuff that kind of means nothing. If anyone, I know I bring up Magic the Gathering, the card game channel, quite a bit, but if you're familiar at all with how they do releases, Mark Rosewater, Morrow for short, is he runs a blog that he frequently will. When a new set's coming out, he'll leave obtuse teasers on it. It'll be like, there's a new creature coming out that's a dragon cat, and you're like, what? A cat dragon? That's new. Let's speculate on what that means. And so I mean, I can give you stuff like on that level, but it really doesn't tell you anything. So like, there's some new tech we had to develop for Warlock to work around its like defining class mechanic, mastery mechanic. Like it's this thing that shows up here. I don't really know how to tease that properly. I'm sorry. I got nothing. One of the skills. So we are making 5 new skills for Warlock. One of which is actually going to be added to Acolyte, and we're pulling an Acolyte skill into Warlock because we think it just fits really well. All right. With all the beans spilled, will all of the beans be spilled at Gamescom, or will it still be to be announced stuff still? I'm not sure all of the things being spilled at Gamescom. I do know that a extremely large number of the beans, if not all of them, are being spilled at Gamescom. The the beans you're really interested in, there's some beans that are like, they're cool when they get spilled, but like you're not excited when they get spilled, and you're like that's neat. But like some people are excited over those beans, but like the like prime beans that everyone's like, gotta get those beans out. Those ones are gonna be exciting to see what happens when they spill. I don't know. This metaphor fell apart a long time ago. Oh god. Oh god, run. More questions. Is it only the additional flask that deals more damage, or the whole ability? Is it only the additional flask that deals more damage, or the whole ability? Oh, the item. Let me get a bigger view of this. Throwing an acid flask consumes a potion in order to throw an additional flask that deals 158% more damage. The additional flask gets the bonus, and it's the ability. It's like it's the exact same as if you had 158% more damage on a piece of gear, but it's just for that one. Quick question: what happens to my character when I log out? I'm on hardcore, so this is important. When I disconnect, to be precise. I can't give you like a hard. This is exactly like specifically what happens on like the server back and everything like that. If you're looking to like alt, like, oh, I'm about to die, alt F4. There is a very brief window where something bad could still happen to you after you alt F4, or like file exit, that sort of stuff. Like there is a brief window there, and if you have really high ping, there's the window is dependent on the ping. As far as I know, it is. It does try to. It does try to be nice about that, and so there's a fine line. I can tell you a bit of the problems on why it's not just you're guaranteed 100% save. Part of it is alt F4ing to save a character like that is, it's not exactly like it's not cheating. I want to be clear that we're not saying it's cheating, but it is maybe not primary intended gameplay functionality, you know. And like portals open quickly and you can get out very quickly, so like there's not a lot of time there, but it doesn't just like the instant you hit log out or the instant you hit alt F4, it doesn't instantly make you perfectly safe 100%. And so part of that is just we don't always know for certain that you have disconnected immediately. Maybe it's just like a couple packets got dropped, and you know, like it's you're still very much there, and we don't want to just like kick you out too soon. And there is some kind of obscure opportunity. We don't want to leave the door open for abuse of the system, whereby there's like some program that like blocks a couple packets and it forces you to be invulnerable for a few seconds. So you can't, like, I don't know, write a weird macro script that's like, oh, a boss is about to use this big ability, fake mini disconnect right here, and it just like the game's like, oh, you're fine, and then it's like, in order so that it's not frustrating to play, it like lets you resume play partway through when you reconnect. So there's like there's like a threshold where like if there's little enough, like there's no connection for long enough, it does protect you and kick you out and all that sort of stuff. Do I know how long that is? No, I'm sorry, I don't. It does try to be pretty aggressive and protect you, because we know that it's incredibly frustrating to be in a situation where it like, even just like through no fault of your own, like you're not even trying to skirt the system, and your internet just goes down and you die because your internet went down, and a hardcore character, like, that's awful. Or maybe there's a problem with our server infrastructure. It's like, really not like it's our fault that you died, that sort of thing. And like so avoiding those situations is extremely important. And we do try and take as many steps as we can to make sure that doesn't happen or happens as little as possible. And there are situations where it can. With there's still a bug that's on live right now around loading screens, and I see people come and ask me like, why doesn't it do this? And I'm like, well, it does do that. It's just not perfect at doing that yet. So if the game ever thinks that you are not there, it will protect your character. But if the game still thinks you're there, it will not protect your character. That's cool. Got about that item. Quick question. Oh, I answered that. How often do you have to introduce new code functionality when developing new skills? Every single skill that I've worked on has always had to add new functionality. There's always been something new for every skill. It's like, yeah, we should add that. And sometimes they're like little tiny things. Sometimes they're huge things. There was a like Rune Master skills that I've been working on recently. I almost said like the name of one of them. I'm like, wait, I can't just call it Rune Master skills. Yeah, so there's been quite a lot of stuff recently that have been introducing a lot of new mechanics for skills. It's really common because so frequently whenever like we'll be you're making a new skill and you're like, okay, well it's got to be distinct from like there's so many other skills that are just naturally similar. Like you're making a projectile skill on Rune Master, let's say, and you're like, okay, well we've got lightning blast, fireball, like static, disintegrate, glacier, volcanic orb. They all have like elements of that already. There's like there's so many things that have projectile elements to them. Like you may not consider meteor like a projectile skill, but it kind of is in a sense, And it's just there's so many of these. You're like, oh, it's kind of like that in this other skill. Like, oh, it's how do we make it unique? And most of the time, it's just like, well, how we're gonna make it unique is by making new functionality that didn't exist. So we made that other skill. Like there's a new ability that's like it's a channeling ability, but it behaves differently than other channeling abilities, and like so we had to make a bunch of like new functionality around skills and channeling abilities to detect this like new style of channeling abilities. It's got like nothing to do with the skill really. It's just it's a ton of mana. Can you tell us which skill is moving from Acolyte to Warlock? I'll find out if I'm allowed to say that. Someone who has the authority that's listening right now that can tell me to do that or not. Just need some Warlock beans in my life. Like Kane, if you're here, which I assume you are, can you tell me if I'm allowed to tell them which skill it is that's moving? Will there be any Twitch integration, like where I can mouse over the screen in Twitch to see a character and what items it has and such? That specific functionality is tough because that information is not stored anywhere outside of the game client itself right now. So there's no way for any integration to look that information up. Whereas like PoE does have like an armory system that it can look that information up. Having some sort of Twitch integration, yeah, that's like on the list. It's way down the list type thing. But yeah, that type of functionality is something that we're interested in. Some stuff would have to change with regards to what information we store and make available online before we can implement that specifically. And we also do know that a lot of people are less interested in sharing their character information with everyone. So there are a system like that probably would have like an opt-out in it. Nice. It's boss fighting time. Alright. Are there any plans to make it more worthwhile to fill up the Echo stability bar, especially for big maps? It's really not worth it to bother with it at all right now. Nothing in particular is planned for that, no. I can see that being something that maybe ties into a mechanic down the road as the monolith mechanics get expanded on, that sort of stuff. Maybe that sounds like a great target, to a great thing to target for a cycle where it's like, okay, there's this new mechanic, we're introducing this cycle, and it lets you utilize like overflow, or whatever, overflow stability. I think it does save it. Like when we do this, it's gonna like pay 700 or whatever like the cost is, and let me keep the rest. I think I don't actually know what the number is. What's your favorite thing that is not in the game yet? Everything we're showing off at Gamescom. In all reality, though, it's probably actually the item factions. I think that's one of those things that's it's by no means underrated, but just like it's a really, I think it's gonna be a really impactful addition to the game. I think it's gonna be something that there's a couple things that like you can really point to is that like make each game unique and set them apart. Like you talk about PoE and what makes PoE really special or like unique and stand out. At least back when I heard about it, and it was like the first time someone opened up the passive window, and I was just like, oh my god, that thing is ginormous. Give me a week and I will absorb. What is it, like 8 years later? I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing in there. But there's things like that, and right now, our biggest thing is like every skill has a tree. Every skill has a tree, and I think item factions might fall into that category for us as well. All right. Have you thought of a way to reward/incentivize players who like to kill all the monsters of a map instead of just running towards the gaps? Arrows. I think thanks to a good loot, sir. Yeah. And there already are some systems in the game that do that. I gotta focus there on mechanics here that will just get me killed. When my cold red's like, cold's okay. That chest, that like golden shiny chest that's at the end of time, or the M-Rest, whatever we're calling it these days. That is the loot that drops out of that scales with the number of enemies you kill, and you also get more stability from killing more enemies. So yeah, like there's things that do help to say like, hey, you should kill more things. Oh, something was a little wonky there. Possibly still is. Yeah, I'm getting like frozen in place, and it's not registering locally. This is gonna be iffy if I make this. It's just hiding out in the corner. What was I talking about? Things for all clearing out echoes. Yes, I think it's the most important thing. The thing that's yes we're we are looking at adding more features to incentivize exploring more of the echo, and it's less about like clearing all of the enemies and more about exploring the echo. So it's like because we added things to like say, hey, like killing more enemies is good, right? And there was very little difference that happened in the behavior of most players in how much of the enemies they kill in an echo. There was some, but it was instead of like let me beeline it to the end and don't care about anything, it became let me get to the end as quick as possible. But you know, like if there's convenient things to kill, I'll also kill those along the way. Which is good, which is an improvement, but it's not where we want it to be. And we've realized that it's less about trying to get people to kill all the enemies and putting people in a situation where they happen upon more enemies, and have a reason to kill them. So it's and the way we get people to happen upon more enemies is by it thinks I'm still in there, by giving them a reason to explore. So it's more about having a reason to explore through like unexpected mechanics, and things that are like you might find this if you explore a little bit, and or oh, there's a reason that there's a thing in this one, and if I explore I'll find the thing maybe. Things like that, or hey, there's this thing that's going to run away from me. This is the classic treasure golem that I always bring up. But it's having these reasons to explore and rewarding the player for doing so that we're really focusing on. And this, my friends, is why you need culling. I am shocked that I did that first try. Whew. Yeah, we're definitely taking the cold res as an easy pickup. Nice. Good job. Let's realize that there's still a little spoiler on screen. No big deal. But I'm going to take that down. We're one away. One away. We're even starting a little bit of work already on. It looks like I failed pretty hard, though. 3 of those in a row. Oof. 4? Oh, no. I remember this. I was getting my butt kicked. Sorry I'm late to the stream. That's alright. Please repeat everything you said while I was gone. Also, hi, Mike. Hi, LEXR. Sorry, I will not be repeating everything I said. How many years has Last Epoch been played by the general public? Quite a while. Like we've always had a public game client. It's like 5 years. Don't want to say yet. Oh, ruining all my fun. Great, now I get to blame you. Yes, not my fault. Have you thought about a way to reward incentivize players who like to kill all monsters of a campaign map instead of just running towards the GPS arrow? Thanks, good loot, sir. Yeah, oh, is that the same question? That looks like the same question. Yeah, same answer. I think it's slightly reworded. When will we be able to pet the dog in LE? I don't know, but I'll make sure we get there eventually. I'm gonna keep killing stuff because I want to finish the echo. Are we good? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's back! Yay! All right. Kane's response just now got me curious about how far is the enemy AI active in Last Epoch? I mean, so it's always active. It looks through it looks through a list of abilities that it has. So the enemy it'll have an ability that's like it'll have a list of abilities and it'll be like melee attack, engage at 10 units, attack at 2 units, leash at 15 units. You know, like it'll be basically like that, and it'll have like ranged attack, but it'll be engage and like shoot at 9 units and leash at like I don't know 18 units or whatever. So it'll kind of be set up like this, and it just typing. It types so much worse when someone's watching. It's so frustrating. Anyways, the melee so the like it's always checking to see if there's anything in these ranges, and maybe this one's at like 2 and this one's at like 20 or something like that. And so when you are at close range, it'll start using this one. But if you're at long range, it'll only use this one type thing, and it's always doing that. Trading when it's ready. MRES is the internal name for area after the mono, plus he meant the campaign zones rather than monos. Sorry. Same answer applies though. Oh, as far as incentivizing killing those things now, we don't have anything to incentivize killing all the monsters in the campaign right now. But the solution's still the same. And it's still the same thing. So effectively, we're still going to, we're still like, the mechanics I'm talking about adding for making exploration, like rewarding exploration and killing more things, is still going to happen in the campaign as well. My goodness, phone. Ugh. That was. I don't. I've never seen this concentration of scam calls. This is insane. Um. When will we be getting a very special edition of Last Epoch for our Alexas? I don't know. Like a. We don't have any box editions planned at the moment. I really want one though. Like if we like never release a box version, I'm just gonna like make my own. Just like 3D print the box. If I ever fix my printer. One day I'll fix it. There should be unique items that can only drop from the chest. This would help getting people to want to kill stuff and higher chances at said unique spot. I mean, that's basically a like just a unique shrine, right? But I do agree with things like that being there, and we have similar but slightly different plans for things like that. Will the feel of battle still be improved? I mean, we're always improving that sort of stuff. I personally think it's like great right now, but like there's still room for fantastic. So yes, we're always working to improve it. And sometimes it's really little things like the timing of when sounds happen and being able to change to different sounds based on how the skill is specialized. So like this was a couple years ago this was added, but like I think it really helped where we can change the casting sound that's going to happen based on the element that the skill is converted to. So like if you add lightning to fireball, or a better example probably is if you convert lightning blast to cold, the sound that it makes when you cast it changes, which is pretty obvious, but like didn't exist at one point, and so yeah, we're constantly adding things like that, just to give us new tools to make it feel better. And then we're also just going back and looking at how things were set up. Maybe it's an animation that's really old, or VFX that's just out of date, that sort of thing. So yeah, we go back and improve old things like that. And then sometimes we make more wholesale changes. I feel like there's room for improvement here, big time. We are using this for poison res, which we're overcapped on. So maybe we can get some lightning or void res out of it. That'll be sweet. That one's just sweet in general. A little void res. Lightning res. Poison damage is kind of weak. And place it on that's just brutal though. Okay, let's do a little mini crafting sesh here. Let me see if I can just hammer out something that's better. Let's start with this. We don't need physical damage. Don't need dot. Don't need channeling. Don't need dot. Let's actually try to strip one. Is this one? No, is this one? Random ethics. Never mind. Poison damage. Let's reroll. Let's see what happens. Crit multi. Ooh. Ooh. Let's actually go discovery. Void res. Discovery doesn't get cost fortune potential, which is why I did that one. So it's free. We do need fizz res. Let's just go. I mean, there we go. There's a T20 item. Is the poison that was bad still? You're missing some poison now. You know what? Nah, I just like the other one better. Let's roll with it. That's a decent upgrade, actually. What do we got? What do we got? Let's just take a brief moment here. Here's a little clip for an update to an existing skill in Mage, actually. There's a lot going on here, so I'll play it a couple times. Hello? I'm gonna replay. I swear I set it to auto replay loop. I did not set it to loop. Whoops. So you might say, hey, it's a meteor skill. They're not casting meteor. But how are meteors falling in such a meteor shower-like fashion? Cool. There we go. Hi, have there been some concrete development on making XP matter past level 100? No, we haven't touched on it at all yet. We are... there's less of a... it will have less of a problem in general because you'll spend less time at level 100. Because it'll take longer to get to level 100. There'll be more stuff to do, so maybe you spend more time in the end in general, but... are these new uniques you've been teasing coming in 0.92 or later, or a mix? I try really hard to only show stuff that's coming in like the next patch. Sometimes we don't. I try and point that out when I do. So far, all of the unique items that I've teased on stream since last patch are coming for 0.92 next patch. Unique items are pretty safe to not be long-term teasers. Because we usually make unique items pretty close to when they're coming out. My audio died. I assume this has already come back since then. I'm the one who asked the same question twice because I meant incentive to clean campaign maps, not just mods. Yeah. Sorry about that mix-up. And yeah. Basically, it's the same. The stuff we're putting into monoliths to help incentivize that is going to be just generic stuff. But it's also like we are trying to improve the side quests that happen, and like there's side quests that you find in the world, so you don't necessarily get all your side quests in town. Sometimes you get side quests by like exploring the world itself. And little things like shrines we put in there. So yeah, we feel it's about incentivizing exploration rather than incentivizing the killing. I mean, the incentive for the killing is that the stuff you're killing is going to drop gear and give you experience and help your character grow, right? Would be possible to make monolith nodes increase affix X drop chance for the final loot box as you travel through it would be fine. I don't understand the suggestion, but if you want to write it out with more space, forums and Discord are a great place to put suggestions, where someone will actually read them with the intention of possibly using them. Oh, I missed one. What did you think of PoE 2? Are you taking anything from it? I did answer this question already on stream, so go back and check that answer out in full. TLDR version, I think it looks sweet. I'm super pumped for it. And no, we're not specifically taking anything from it, but I think that that doesn't mean we're not going to do anything that's like similar, but we're just going to keep making our game. And there were definitely things that we've been planning to do that showed up in that stream that were like, well, great minds think alike. The very special edition was for reference to a joke Skyrim release commercial. I was out of the loop on that one. Sorry. Hi. Have there been some developments on making? Oh, I feel like I already answered that. Will there be Steam Deck support 1.0? I can't guarantee the Steam Deck specifically will be like officially supported at 1.0. We are still working on our controller functionality and improving that. There's a big update that just went in about controller functionality improvements, mostly in menu stuff, I think, and that improves the Steam Deck experience. The main reason we don't have Steam Deck listed as compatible at the moment is we're just not prepared to support it, really. I do know that there are several people who have got it working. I think the one tip that I always see people show up, they're like, hey, does it work on Steam Deck? And everyone's like, well, technically no, but I got it to work using these settings. And the one thing that I see, I think every single time, is using Proton. A nice one. Ooh, that's a nice one. Some of the good stuff in there, but not really what we're looking for. So if you really want to get to try on Steam Deck right now, I think it's actually decent. Figured I'd ask my weekly update about dual shields. I don't want to be a jerk about this, but you could probably shelve that question until after launch. I'm happy to keep asking if you want to keep asking it. No problem there. But I just don't want to get your hopes up on timing. Oh, someone else is already playing on Steam Deck. It's decent. It's cool. There we go. It's definitely it's that's the thing. The people that have got it working, I keep hearing it's like it's okay. It's pretty good. I had to tweak it a bunch, and it's like it's playable. It's good. I like it, but like they're never like it's great or it's perfect. It's always like it's good. We're getting there, but yeah, and it's a lot of stuff like just generic performance improvements, just generic Linux fixes, just generic bug fixing. It's all going to improve that sort of stuff. And so we're not ready to adopt another platform, but there are improvements to it coming pretty quickly. When thinking about build balance, are you more interested in having a wide range of builds be maximum viability, or more interested in maximizing the number of builds that can compete endgame content, even if they aren't as good as the top builds? It's a good question. I don't think I can give you like an absolute answer, like for like the whole team or how everything happens. I don't think we've never sat down and like agreed on an answer to this question. This is a pretty big question. That kind of has implications for things, and I think the answer is, it like for just all of that is it depends. It really depends, and there's a balancing act there for sure. There's like pushing too far into either one of those. I think could be problematic. I'd be more because they're both important things to try and do, and so it's like maximize them at the cost of one of the other ones. Maybe not. It depends how much the other one is, you know? So If you're gonna pick one to have the edge on the other, I would say it's probably having more builds that can compete in in-game content, um, than builds that are of maximum power. I think where we'd put that preference, um, but it's an edge, not a like clear cut. Oh, given the choice between the two of them, we'll always pick. No, it's always it depends. I think one of the most important things is, um, a player shows up to the game and they've got a fantasy that they really want to live out in the game. They've got a build idea. Maybe they're coming from another game. Maybe it's fresh to this genre, but they're like, I really want to have a fire mage. I want this character that is that they're all about the spell casting. And they're gonna light their enemies on fire with like fireballs and meteors and disintegrate beams and like various different ways. And having these, having that like goal of fantasy be possible, um, is really important. And like being able to excel in that fantasy you're trying to have happen, be possible is really good. Guaranteeing that, um, any fantasy type of gameplay playstyle whatever that you're trying to pursue will work no matter what in maximum power and super end game situations. eh, that's a fool's errand. Um, and like if your goal is I want to be the best, no one ever. And it's less about fulfilling a specific gameplay style and more about fulfilling a an achievement goal. I think being funneled into fewer options for achieving that goal is generally going to be more acceptable, than being funneled into fewer options for just being able to compete, just being able to like complete content. Like we want players to be able to say like, hey, I want to play a fire mage, and be able to get to the end game, be able to have fun in the end game, and be able to like do the content that's available, that sort of thing. Um, but if you get to end game and you're like, I need to push top tier content, and maybe fire mages just aren't it right now. I think there's more of an acceptable feeling that it's okay. Well, maybe you switch to a frost mage, or maybe it's a hybrid element mage, or maybe like there's other mage options that you can switch to, and still have fun and still like do really really well. But it's oh, oh, that's interesting. It's a cool item. What settings am I using graphics wise? This is currently just generic high settings, I believe. Oh, stream mode on this. Weird. I usually turn that. I guess I've turned desync on instead. Those are the graphic settings I have on. If you want to, I'm running a i7 12,700 12700K processor. Um, it's 64 gigs of RAM. A GTX. Oh, sorry, an RTX. First RTX card, RTX 3060 Ti. So it's sort of all like last gens, like good or really good, but not like amazing stuff. Yeah, that's fine. How about the equivalent of the forge, but for tinkering idols a bit? We very intentionally not added any way to mess with idols yet, and I think there's a lot of room in the dungeon reward system, or even just rewards for other end game mechanic systems for making changes to idols. But I think we're sort of planning on exploring that avenue a little bit. Right now, a lot of new players take a bit to understand and interact with the crafting. I know there's a quest now, but has there been any discussion on adding more in-depth quests to showcase it more? No, there hasn't been. Like, it's in a lot of places. There's a tutorial pop-up that happens. There's a quest in game that directs you to it. That's like on the main quest path. It's in the game guide. There's like a loading screen tooltip that tells you about it. It's in this menu as well. There's like this all shows up that like prompts that it exists to like help you with it, all that sort of stuff. Like the items themselves. I just moved them all, so I don't know if I can do this. But like the items themselves, the tooltips, every single crafting material tooltip says press F to open the crafting panel. I think these ones do too. Maybe not. I know all these do. I don't know if all these do when they're in your inventory. They have a different tooltip when they're here than when they're in your inventory. So maybe I should. I'll look at the next chart I pick up and see if it's in your inventory too. But yeah, we do see some people not seeing it. Like how it's a difficult question. How do you communicate something to a player if they will not read the screen? If you can't write it out, how do you communicate to a player that they need to learn something? That they need to pay attention to it, interact with it, learn about it. It's a tough question to answer. If you can't get them to read, how do you do it? And it's something that exists almost exclusively in menus. Whoa! I am not going to survive this. And having a mandatory quest about crafting, I think would get veteran players a little bit frustrated with it. Maybe just a touch. I mean, you could put it on the main quest line. There aren't any specific plans for it right now, though, as far as I'm aware. Gosh, Black Hole's Meteor Node actually using the Meteor skill tree? Hey, that's what I saw from that video. I actually don't know what the video is of. I got handed the video clip with no explanation of what it is. So I don't know, or if there was one. Maybe I didn't read. Ho, maybe I'm the terrible that doesn't read too. The only thing I got was that it was titled Black Hole Changes. Oh no, hey. Yes, I do know what it is. I was told. I just didn't read. See? I'm the exact... This is how I know players play this way, because I am this player. You can't make me read. Ugh. Get out of here with that crap. Any updates on set items in the next patch? Nope. The way I see it is, if I keep asking my mic about dual shields, the man, the druid, The character select screen. Maybe he'd snap his fingers and dual shields would manifest themselves sooner. Well, I appreciate your faith in me. And I'd be lying if I wasn't influenced by the things I get asked a bajillion times on stream. These are nice gloves, but, you know, not for me. Anything you can share a plan for idols on the system? There are no concrete things ready for idols yet. Like there's the new masteries coming out. So like when Ringmaster Warlock and Falconer do come out, there will be new idol affixes that go with those, like the skills that they get, because there's a lot of idol affixes that reference specific skills. So the new skills that get added in also get idol affixes that come with them. So there's that. But as far as system-wide mechanic changes, nah. I guess what I was trying to say is that in many other games, a similar style crafting is not as intuitive / robust as it is in LE, and is such a great system. I think you could be overwhelmed as a new player or as a transplant from other games. Yeah, there is. I guess that's when someone asked earlier, like, what's your advice of a new player? I'm like, craft early and craft often. I guess maybe subconsciously I know that this is something that players don't do as directly right away, because it is an important thing to get into it. And like you open this page and it just looks like this, and you're like, all right, like what? Like it's kind of bare. You're not really sure what to do, but I mean, it does. Like there's not a lot of text here, right? Select a piece of gear, add an item to craft, or like the biggest things. And there's like prefix, suffix, use a modifier item, and it like there's I feel like there's pretty easy access details on how to do stuff right there. But yeah, it's a little obtuse or maybe overwhelming for a lot of new players as well. So yeah, like there's definitely room. I don't want to undercut that. Like there's definitely room to improve how we're presenting this and how new players are interacting with it, because they're not because we're getting this feedback from players that are saying like, oh, I had to teach, like someone I saw in chat earlier, like I had to tell someone who's level 80 that crafting existed, or that like this transfer materials button existed. You know, like so. And that's going to happen no matter what, but maybe we're not doing a good enough job, and there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I had an idea for a skill for Rogue. You dash towards an enemy, stunning it, slowing down nearby enemies. Sweet. I think having it be a side quest with a pretty obvious name that pops up fairly early on just gives you like 10 hopes and a few shards or something that just goes through the menu fairly quickly could be good, and the player can always just skip it until they learn about crafting that way. Yeah, I mean, so that's having the like giving like that's changing the rewards for the quest. We don't have a way. I guess we could do it. We could just drop bunches on the ground. There is. I don't think this would happen with something like this, because it would be like a low tier crafting material. But like, there is the sort of, if it gives too much, we really want to avoid the possibility of, hey, let me make 20 new characters and get them to the point where they can have someone standing just outside the room where you get that quest completed. Make a new character, like someone else makes a new character, warps to them, goes and gets the 10 hopes or whatever, makes a new character, ports them, gets the 10 hopes, and just like sticks them in their stash each time. And it's just like you just farm hopes that way, and it's like, well, that was boring. It's less about the balance of it and just like it's promoting gameplay that's not fun. I mean, like, Sweet. What's one there, actually? But not sweet for me. Like that. Let's be real here. But like, some beefy minions right there. It's a sweet necro item. Is this game going to be a live service / receive seasonal content or something like that in the future after release? Absolutely. So about dual shields. Would be cool to have a journal stash tab of sorts to slot in all uniques in the game. I just have a cool system, yeah, where you slot them in and stack them and collect minor buffs also. Yeah, I don't so that was something it's a Grail tab is the like I would say the general generic term I would use for something like this. And I love the idea of a Grail tracker. In Last Epoch, I don't know how I feel about it giving power to the player, especially because it would also affect like alts and things like that. Maybe it's sweet. It's not something we're really jumping on right now, but I haven't actually played on December yet. I watched a bunch of stuff on it. It looked great. I'm like, I just don't have time right now for this one. And one of the things that the main reason that Undecember gets brought back up to me is in reference to this system of theirs, which sounds like a real home run for them. Maybe I missed it, but did you expand on the Meteor clip you showed earlier? If not, could you? I did not. Kane expanded on it directly below. Black Hole is being changed to cast Meteor instead of Meteor. So right now in the Black Hole skill tree, I should probably over here. Is this it? Yeah, Black Hole creates meteors. These meteors are not affected by the meteor skill tree, and it's the only spot in the game right now where you can like trigger another ability that doesn't use your specializations, and it's really disappointing. Especially because it has 200 mana constants. So you're just like, well, it's clearly using the real one, but doesn't, and it's just it's savage. But now this node will basically it'll use your specialized meteors. How about like the Skyrim crafting tutorial? Person needs you to complete an item upgrade for whatever reason, so you do it. And then the mechanics, get that upgrade item back, get some simple shard rewards. Could be codable. I can log that. It is a little problematic, I will say that, to actually force a specific item to exist, which is part of the reason we haven't done that. It is possible technically. And Spike, thank you for the 8-month resub. Can't wait for Gamescom. I also cannot wait for Gamescom. I'm very pumped for that. Alright. Oh, sorry, that's okay. Then you said you will implement more skills for idols. More idols for skills, actually. The rest will be that finding a specific idol combination you want gets harder and harder because the pool gets bigger and bigger. It does. Any plans for smart loot to only get class drops for the idols and the generic ones to keep the odds more or less the same? I mean, there already is smart loot for getting ones that are for your class, so it will get a little bit harder to find specific idols for those masteries that are getting new ones added in. We don't have any plans for target farming idols yet. All things like that are like, you know, glass casket remains to be seen. In the meteor tree, I think the node's called Infernal Pillar or something similar that makes it cast the meteors in a line cost more. Feels like just kind of bad on all fronts. Less meteors hit single target, and packs often just cut down the middle in my experience. Is there any good use case you guys have seen? Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. Doesn't sound like a node I'd be personally very interested in using. I can see if you were trying to use it to like extend the range on something. So you're like, you wanted to like use it up there and have it like extend out farther and hit things really far away. That might be a use case for it. XP, 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 XP. That is the helm base we're looking for. Maybe we can turn that elemental nova into something. Oh, we're still we have elemental nova on our current helmet, and it's useless. Let's try to. Oh, we can't craft it off because we don't have any tiers. Okay, so let's. Ooh, now do we shatter this? Do we shatter our helmet in hopes that we get the affix in order to be able to upgrade it with this one? Probably not. Seems like a terrible idea, Mike. Fair enough. Coding is beyond me, so I'd rather ask before I log personal suggestions that couldn't be coded. It's still worthwhile to put things up. Mike's caught up with 15 minutes to spare. Oh, celebration time, because you know what I still have? One more teaser. Ba-boom! This guy's cool. I don't know if it says what he's for on the bottom or not. Check it out. Oh, it's cheeky redacted who it is. Ah, nice. Okay, I won't say who it is then. But like a significant percentage of the player base will be talking to this person pretty frequently. Are there any Constantine references in the Warlock build? Oh, I mean the Scouser version, not the American one. I have no idea. The trees aren't made for the Warlock skills yet, so that's usually where we stick a lot of the like cheeky references is in like node names. There's a ton of just like, well, most of the trees have been redone, but like so a long time ago I did a lot of the node names and setups for a lot of skills, and like a lot of the nodes just because it's the type. So I play so much Magic that like I'd be like setting up like a fireball tree, and like they're like, okay, well I've got to make a node that makes this fireball bigger, and it's like, well, the types of names I know of fantasy things that theme like this end up being just a bunch of Magic cards. New brain NPC? Nope. This is actually so I usually say like I always try and tease stuff that's coming in the next patch. This is not coming in the next patch. So I broke my own rule. Wonder who might have redacted Kane. Can you guys do a quest where you go back in time to bring Deckard Kane back to life? Well, Deckard Kane sadly doesn't exist in this world, in this universe. This is Eterra. Kane lives in Sanctuary. Kind of hard to go, We don't have interdimensional portals yet. Uh, you show us a Plague Rat concept art teaser last week. Yeah. Can you tell us if it's a pet or an enemy? I'm actually not sure, but I haven't heard anything in the pet category for it. So I'd be shocked if it was in the pet category, because it would be like, that would, like, if that was going to be pet category, Plague Rat type thing would actually probably fit well in Warlock, but there's no skill in Warlock that's going to be that, so. Enemy. Favorite drafting set? I really enjoyed, back when they used to do blocks, Midnight, Innistrad, the original Innistrad. What was the second set in the original Innistrad? Once there was just two, and it was like, you basically had like werewolves and vampires, the set. It was like humans and angels and things that go bump in the night. And that was a fantastic draft set. I remember drafting werewolves. And I think there was, I don't know what it was, but like everyone in the pod, it was an 8-person pod I was playing, and like werewolves had just come out. It was one of the first like double-sided cards to really exist. Everyone's kind of leery of them. No one had practiced or played with them. And I think everyone kind of just like avoided them and steered clear of them, for that matter. And I was just like, let's dive right in. Werewolves, let's go. And I just sort of like, every pack came with at least one werewolf in it. And so it was just like every pack, I'm just like, I'll take the werewolf card out. And like somehow pulled every rare werewolf in the set. And just like cruise controlled to victory. It was great. Ended up making one of my favorite commander decks out of that in the end, after like 8 iterations of werewolves that they've done. Ooh, that was close to being very bad. Come on, just, there we go. Werewolves draft, yes. Okay, what was the original Innistrad set? Oh, the one after it, because it was back when you drafted like blocks, but it was partway through the block, when they hadn't released the 3rd set yet. Dark Ascension. So it was Dark Ascension was out, but Avacyn Restored was not out yet. So this would have been like, we're probably talking like February or March 2012. Is when this draft happened, and that was my favorite one. And you do 2, like, this is like before they got rid of the block system. You do like, a block is a collection of 3 sets of magic cards that would like together they make up like a story arc, and like they're themed similarly and all that sort of stuff. And when you would draft them, like the first set would come out, and you would draft, and you just draft 3 packs in the same set. Then the second set would come out, and you draft 2 from the first set and 1 from the second set. Then the third set would come out, the block would finish, and you do 1 from each, one pack from each of the sets in the block. And so it was Innistrad Dark Ascension. We did that draft, and it was a ton of fun. Just realized I'm like on another screen on my secondary monitor there, and maybe I'm playing with something on screen, but no, I'm good. Right before Angels ruined everything. We did a draft with the Angels right afterwards, and my buddy passed Avacyn. Pack 1, pick 1. Avacyn's right there, and he just passes it intentionally. So something else amazing. I can't remember what else was amazing. It was in the pack, but he was like, it was the card it was pack 3. It must have been pack 3. Sorry, not pick 1. Pack 1. Pack 3, pick 1. He passes Avacyn. because it just like didn't fit with his deck at all. And he's like, if I really want one, I'll go get one. But it was some other card that was great for his deck. He ended up winning that draft, I think. But I was still like, at least hate drafted. Come on. I think that was one where I ended up with like a bunch of defenders trying to win with like Lobber Crew. I think that was that draft. And it was like right at the final game. It was one of us was gonna win, and I did the math. I'm like I was milling. I had like 1 mill card. We'd like stalled the board state. I was milling him out. Was like 1 mill card in my whole deck. It was just like it was in there for something else, and it just like instantly had like a crappy like mill 2 effect on it. And I was like, I did the math on how fast he could beat me to like kill me with damage, and I'm like, you've got nothing unless you like pull some way to like break the status quo here. I win. And so we like, he's like not worried at all, and I'm like getting concerned because he's not concerned, and I mill him out. I'm so excited, and he goes to his upkeep or something like that. Or his the last turn before I mill him out or something, and he plays Psychic Intrusion, Psychic Spiral, something like that. It mills your opponent for all the cards in your graveyard, and because I had milled him out, it turned around and milled me out, and I lost, and I was just like, out of nowhere. That was a fun, memorable draft, too. I'm just rambling about Magic now. Last Epoch! Back on track! Steer this boat! Cardboard is really bad for your system. It's less the cardboard and more the ink, I think. Or the glue, actually. I'm just going the wrong way. So good at this, don't even worry. You know the Uno review, the reverse card? Yeah. That's what it felt like. It was great, though. I mean, that's, like, it's those memorable moments that make it fun. You're like, then you talk about it the next week, or it's like, oh, it's great play, that sort of thing. And we worked it out after the game, and it turns out that had I not attempted to maintain and just rely on the milling strategy, I actually could have won. But I thought this was the safer play. Oh, I love that shrine so much. Oh, an Ascendant's nice. Let's just keep going. I don't even care what this one is. Let's go. Shrine, keep me going. Will the game have Nightmare and Hell difficulties to read the campaign in a harder way? No. We want the campaign to be a contiguous experience that you go through once. And the difficulty ramps up as you go through the campaign. So as you get to the end of the campaign, it is harder. And not just in the sense level 50 enemies hit harder than level 10 enemies. An average level 50 character will be less successful against level 50 content than the average level 10 character will be against level 10 content type thing. And maybe that's a bad way to put it, but maybe there's more mechanics to keep track of. There's that if you don't interact with in a intentional and positive way can cause you to not be as successful, you know? Maybe at level 10 there's an enemy that's got a meteor style attack, and it puts a marker on the ground and says move out of this or else you're going to get chunked for a lot of damage, possibly die. And maybe it's got a 4-second prime time. But then like you get to the later on in the campaign and there's the same ability, and now the prime time is 3 seconds. And then you get to the end of the campaign and the prime time is 2 seconds for similar style abilities. Now if it was the actual same ability and the same enemy casting, we'd probably want to keep the prime time the same so that you're not like, so you don't have to guess on what that time is, but so you can learn what that time is based on what the enemy is, because you're going to revisit that enemy later on in the monolith and all that sort of stuff. But you know, we try and have these like the difficulty increase, and sometimes that's just like the situations you're in, like, oh, you've got to fight in this like small corridor this time, and like you don't have the room to maneuver like you normally would. So like you're fighting this, maybe you're fighting the same enemy, and it is just a straight stat bump version of the same enemy, but because the environment you're in is less friendly to the player and more friendly to the enemy's abilities, like maybe it's doing a disintegrate style beam attack, and the first time you fight them it's in a big open field, so you learn they do this attack and you got to get out of the way to dodge it. But the second time you fight them, maybe it's in this like skinny corridor, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to survive this attack, maybe you've got to like find a way to like use a movement skill to get to the other side of them right as it's happening, or you've got to have a defensive skill planned, or even just like a defensive proc planned, that sort of thing. So we do try and increase the difficulty as you go on further. And sometimes that's through complexity. Sometimes. Imagine still not having the staff. Yeah, Electro staff. Yeah, I still don't have it, and I'm starting to think that someone maliciously removed it from the game. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Maybe that ascendance will give it to me. Oh yeah, let's take a shot at it. I've even got a staff, don't I? I don't have a staff on me. Let's find a staff. Okay, I'm gonna do that right before the stream ends. Okay, good, right here. We're gonna take an ascendance shot. Oh my. I started watching Doctor Who. I've never actually like watched Doctor Who before. I've seen like little clips of it here and there, but I've never. It's always been this sort of nebulous, daunting. Like I don't want to watch a bajillion seasons of a show. And if I get into it, I like finishing shows. So like, but yeah, I've decided to take the plunge. Loving it so far. Absolutely loving it. Alright, do we have any staffs? Staves? Staffses? That are eligible to upgrade. Does this? This should. So should this. Hey! Oh, we did it! There we go! Oh, perfect. Very pleased with that. Wonderful. Wonderful! Let's go! We are a lightning mage! Yes! Alright. Did you start with Eccleston? I don't know the actor's name. That started in 2005. Where do the undead Wingari keep enough bones to throw like 3 per second like that? They grow. They have this weird mutation where bones grow out of them really fast. And they just keep throwing them. They just keep growing and they just keep throwing them. They eat a lot to make this possible. Brilliant. Well, on that, terrible disappointment. It's time to end. Not terrible disappointment. Loving it. Okay, where's my end screen? There we go. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. I'm just like shocked on this poll. Thanks for coming out. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I will see you next week, same time, same place. If you have any questions that I did not get around to answering or didn't answer to your satisfaction, please feel free to head on over to our Discord and ask again. Or just one comes to you in the meantime. Happy to answer there. We have an Ask the channel. There's also an Ask the Community channel, where there's tons of great people answering those questions all the time. That's about it. Gamescom coming up. Yeah. I didn't. I'm not prepared for this. I'm sorry. That'll do it for me today. Have a great night. We'll see you later. See you next week. Bye, buddy.